Good morning, everyone. So today's lesson will be from your Flamingo textbook, chapter 5, called Indigo. In this lesson, we are going to talk about the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and what urges Gandhi to have the first Quit India movement. And this chapter is written by Louis Fisher, and Louis Fisher is a very huge fan of Mahatma Gandhi, and he traveled all over the world, and especially he was one of the many followers of Gandhi during that time. And this is an excerpt from his book called The Life of Mahatma Gandhi, and this is an excerpt, and he had written a whole book about Mahatma Gandhi, and this is only a small piece that is taken out from his book, which he wrote about Mahatma Gandhi. And he said that he went to Mahatma Gandhi in 1917, that in 1942 he went to Mahatma Gandhi's ashram. Ashram is a place where Gandhi and his family, along with some of his followers, had lived. And so he said that he visited Mahatma Gandhi in 1942, and they were having a chat between themselves, Mahatma Gandhi and this Louis Fisher. They were talking amongst themselves. They were having a very good chat amongst themselves. And this is when Gandhi told Louis Fisher, I will tell you how I wanted to urge the British out of India. I will tell you an incident that happened because this started all the Quit India movement against the British. So I'm going to tell you how this all started. And he said that it had happened in 1917. And Gandhi went on to tell Louis Fisher that in December 1916, the All India Congress annual convention was held in Lucknow. And during this time, Indian National Congress was already a huge political party in India, and Mahatma Gandhi was already a very renowned politician, a very well-known politician during that time, and Mahatma Gandhi was the leader of the Indian National Congress. And so he said that there was an annual convention in Lucknow in December of 1916, and while Gandhi was there attending the convention, and there are about 2,301 delegates. People who came for Indian National Congress convention in Lucknow were 2,301 people. And so while Gandhi was there, a man named Rajkumar Shukla approached him. He was a peasant, and Gandhi said that a peasant came up to him during the convention when Gandhi was talking with some officials there. When Gandhi was attending the convention there, a peasant named Rajkumar Shukla approached Gandhi, and Gandhi said that this peasant looked like any other peasant in India. A peasant simply means a poor person. This peasant was a farmer, to be exact, and he said that when he approached Gandhi, he does not even know, this person does not even know who Mahatma Gandhi was during that time. And he simply came to share. He knew that there was an Indian National Congress convention being held in Lucknow, so he was thinking that there might be some people whom he can share his problem with. And so this is the reason why he came to this convention, thinking that there might be some people whom he can consult with. So when he came here, some people asked him to talk to Mahatma Gandhi, and so that is how he found out where Mahatma Gandhi is and who Mahatma Gandhi is. And so he came and he approached Mahatma Gandhi, and he introduced himself. He said to Mahatma Gandhi, I am Rajkumar Shukla, and I came from Champaran, and this Champaran we have a huge problem in our place, and so I want you to come to my district. That is what he told Mahatma Gandhi. And so Gandhi was thinking about this place, and Gandhi knew that he had never heard of Champaran before. He don't know where Champaran is, and he had never heard about the place before. Champaran was in the foothills of the Himalayas. Means that the foothills means the beginning of the mountain, not at the top of the mountain, but the beginning of the mountain. So Champaran is a place, a village which is situated in the foothills of the Himalayas, and it was very near to the kingdom of Nepal, and it is in the under the district of Bihar. So under an ancient arrangement, means that long ago there was an arrangement that they practiced in Champaran, and this arrangement was that the huge pieces of land, the cultivated land were divided into huge pieces of land. So this land, they were owned by the British landlords, and under the British landlords, the Indian peasants, the Indian farmers or the Indian peasants were working under this British landlords, and so they were paid very less amount of wages, and he came to there was a lot of injustice. There was a lot of injustice going on around this between the landlord and the peasants who work under the landlord. So he wanted to come and complain about those injustices that occur in their region, the Champaran region. And so somebody asked him to go and speak to Gandhi. And Gandhi, during that time, he was already a very busy man. Like I said before, he was already a leader in the Indian National Congress Party, and he was a well-known person in the whole of India, and that is why he does not have free time to just sit down and talk with this peasant, and also he does not have any time to just go and travel to Champaran, where he does not even know where it is. And so he told Rajkumar Shukla that he had an appointment, and then he was also committed. He already had another appointments to go to so many places here and there for the whole month or the next month also. And so but instead of giving up, this Rajkumar Shukla, he followed Mahatma Gandhi everywhere that he went, and finally he pressured Mahatma Gandhi everywhere that he went. He asked to Mahatma Gandhi, he asked Mahatma Gandhi, please fix a date and please come to my district or come to my hometown. That is what he was he kept on asking Mahatma Gandhi to fix a date or to come to his village. And so he kept on asking Mahatma Gandhi, and finally Mahatma Gandhi told Rajkumar Shukla, he told Rajkumar Shukla, I am going to be in Calcutta in this particular date on this particular month, and so you can come and meet me there. Because Gandhi cannot just simply go with this peasant and travel all the way to Champaran. He had so many other duties to do. He had so many other appointments that he needed to attend to, and some meetings here and there, just like what shall we compare it to? If you just go one day, if you just go and said, I wanted to meet the chief minister of Mizoram, and then you went and you went to his bungalow, what will happen? Can you just go inside and sit down and said, Mr. Chief Minister, I want this and that? And you cannot just simply say like that. So the exact same thing happened here, because Gandhi is already a very busy person, a very important person. He cannot just sit down or just go and travel anywhere that he wants without cancelling another appointment. So finally he told Rajkumar Shukla, I'm going to be in Calcutta on this day and this month, so you can come and meet me there. And so months have passed, and Shukla was there at the exact place where Mahatma Gandhi asked him to come. So Rajkumar Shukla came, and that time also, after the meeting was over, Gandhi cannot simply just easily come out of the meeting. He had so many people who wanted to talk to him, and so after he talked to each and every one of them, Rajkumar Shukla was still standing there waiting for Mahatma Gandhi. And so finally Gandhi could come, and so they both traveled together. And from there, from Kolkata, they boarded a train. They went on a train to Patna, the city of Bihar, and there in Patna lived Rajendra Prasad. Rajendra Prasad was a very famous lawyer by that time, and Rajendra Prasad, as we all know, Rajendra Prasad later became the president of the Indian National Congress and also the president of India. And what happened was that during that time, Rajendra Prasad was a very famous lawyer, and he was living in Patna. And Gandhi and Rajendra Prasad have already known each other by that time, and so they went and they stayed in his house as his house guest. Now, when Gandhi went to Rajendra Prasad's house, Rajendra Prasad was, during that time, Rajendra Prasad was not present in his house. He was going away on an important meeting to some other town, to some other city. And so Gandhi and Rajkumar Shukla, they both stayed in Rajendra Prasad's house for the night, for the night. And Rajendra Prasad's servants, the servants who were serving there in Rajendra Prasad's house, when they look at Gandhi, when they look at Rajkumar Shukla, they already knew Rajkumar Shukla because Rajkumar Shukla had come to Rajendra Prasad's house before, and Rajendra Prasad had helped the peasants more than once before. So they already knew Rajkumar Shukla, and they knew that he was a peasant. Now Gandhi, they do not even know him. And when they look at him, like if you see the picture of Gandhi, how is he dressed? Like if you see him, you will know that he's not wearing any decent clothes or any clothes or suits that is very expensive. He is just dressed in his dhotis with a small shawl and a stick. And so he is not even a very what shall we say, he's not even a very large man. He is very thin, and he's not a very when you look at him, you will see that Gandhi is not such a handsome man as well. So what happened is Rajendra Prasad's servants also thought that Gandhi is also one of the peasants, and so they did not treat him like the master that he was, and they just make him sleep in the servants' quarters. They make him eat from the servants' dishes that they prepared for the servants. Gandhi did not even complain. Also, he never mentioned that he was the boss of the huge Indian National Congress party in India. He was a very famous man. He does not mention anything to any of this to Rajendra Prasad's servants. He simply stayed there, stay and treated and stay there and remain as they treated him, like eat the food that they gave him, drink the water that they gave him, and also sleep on the bed that they asked him to sleep on. He never complained about it once. So they were staying there in Rajendra Prasad's house. And Gandhi first decided to go to Muzaffarpur. Muzaffarpur was on the way to Champaran, and it was very near to Champaran, and he was thinking that if he can go to Muzaffarpur, he will talk to some more lawyers, and then he will he will inquire about the peasants' problem, the problem that is arising in Champaran. And he wanted to have a closer inquiry, have a more in-depth inquiry about the things that were occurring in Champaran. And what happened is that he sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani, whom he met in the Shantiniketan College, and they went by train again towards Muzaffarpur, and they arrived at midnight on 15th April 1917. And Professor Kripalani was waiting for him with with many students, and they were waiting for him at the railway station. And Gandhi stayed in the house of Professor Malkani, who was a government school teacher. And Gandhi said it was an extraordinary thing in those days. Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. Why Gandhi said this was a very extraordinary thing to do is because this is even prevailing in these days also. Government servants, those who work under the government are not allowed to side with any political parties freely. Because what happened is, supposing I am also a teacher, I work in government Kamalanagar Higher Secondary School. So what happens if I talk bad about, if I, supposing now is, what is a ruling party right now? The MNF are the ruling parties right now, right? So supposing if I converted myself, if I say that I am converting myself into, what shall we say, opposition party, whichever opposition party it is, supposing I said I wanted to join this party and I joined, supposing I joined that party, I acted as if I was the owner of that party, I participated in the campaigns, everything. So after a while, if I do it like that, after a while, maybe the ruling party, they might not be very happy with how I participated in all the opposition party campaigns and programs and all this. So they might do one thing. They might terminate my government servant status, or they might transfer me to other places, further places, or something that like that always happened. It could happen as well. So during this time also, the British were the sole ruler of India, the government of India. The rulers of the government of India were the British people. And so Professor Malkani was the one who was working under the government. So for Professor Malkani to welcome Mahatma Gandhi, who was political party leader during that time, it was a very what shall we say, it was a very brave thing to do. And so Mahatma Gandhi was also very surprised. And the news of Gandhi's arrival in Muzaffarpur had reached very far, had reached to the peasants. And these peasants, they were spreading the news that they do not know who Mahatma Gandhi was during that time. And they simply said, this man, a political party leader, he came to Muzaffarpur to help us. So in order to welcome Mahatma Gandhi and in order to see Mahatma Gandhi, lots and lots of peasants from Champaran, they walked from their hometown towards Muzaffarpur. Lots and lots, hundreds of them walked towards Muzaffarpur to welcome Mahatma Gandhi, and they welcomed him. And what happened is that while they were staying in Muzaffarpur, Gandhi called all the lawyers who used to help these sharecroppers, who used to help these peasants. And so Gandhi asked them how much they charge for the lawyer's fee. And when they told Mahatma Gandhi how much they used to charge, Gandhi scolded them. He said that you are charging too much money from these peasants. You should not do like that. They are poor peasants. You should not charge too much money from them. And he said, finally Gandhi said that when he heard about all the things that used to happen to the peasants and to the landlords, against the landlords, Gandhi finally came to a conclusion, and he said that, okay, finally I know what to do now. We will stop going to law courts because this does not have any necessity in what we are doing. It does not improve our condition. It never improved the condition of the peasants. So we will stop going to law courts. But what we are going to do now is that we are going to tell the people that they have the right to stand up for themselves. The people are already very fear-stricken because they were so scared of the British landlords. They do not even dare to speak up for themselves or to stand for themselves. So this is what we have to do. First, we have to cultivate bravery inside their heart. We have to cultivate bravery, to be brave, to not be so afraid of the British. So we have to cultivate bravery in their heart and in their mind first. So this is what we are going to do. Now, most of the arable lands means the lands where you could grow crops. So most of the arable lands in Champaran were divided into very large estates. Like I said before, these lands where they used to grow crops, they were divided into large pieces of estates, and these estates, this large piece of land were owned by the British landlords, and under the British landlords the peasants were working. And this, firstly, their arrangement was that after they sell the crop, these peasants, they will get 20% or 15% of the amount of money that they receive from the crop. Now, the main crop that they used to cultivate during that time was indigo. Indigo was a crop which they used during that time for coloring, dyeing clothes. So it was a very good profit during that time. They used to sell this indigo, and they used to get good profits during that time. But what happened was their trouble arises when in Germany they discovered synthetic indigo. Synthetic indigo means man-made indigo, not the natural crop that they grow. Because if they found out synthetic indigo, it means that the production is faster than growing the crop and cultivating, harvesting, and making it into usable colors for dyeing the clothes. Synthetic indigo takes lesser time to be ready to sold into the market, to be sold in the market, and to be used for dyeing the clothes. That's why the crop indigo, the profit had gone down to a large extent because of the synthetic indigo. They could not sell it faster like they used to sell before. Still, the landlord were still trying to take as much profit for themselves, and the 15% arrangement that they made before, they did not give it to the peasants. They said that you do not deserve 15%. Like, they took so much of the profit for themselves. They gave little to the workers, the peasants. And this small amount of money that the peasants get, it was not enough for them to buy food, buy clothes, buy whatever daily needs for their family, to feed their family. So this is not enough for them to live a good life. So this angered the peasants. They wanted to stand up. Some peasants who were a little clever than others, they wanted to stand up for themselves. So they hired lawyers to go to law courts. But those whomever hired lawyers, the British, again, they hired the thugs, the gundas, and they beat them up. And whatever, when Gandhi was arriving in Champaran, it was in total chaos. The peasants were angry, the landlords were angry, everyone were fighting with each other. And this is when Gandhi arrived in Champaran. And he started investigating the case immediately, and he began to collect the facts. He wanted to know the root cause of this, and so he began to collect the facts. He began to survey the facts. And firstly, he began to visit the British Landlords Association. And when he went to the British Landlords Association's house, the secretary told him that they could give, they said, we could not give any information to an outsider. You are an outsider, so we could not give any information to an outsider. But Gandhi said, I am an Indian, these are my people, I am not an outsider, I have to know all the details. But and then the next thing what Gandhi do is that he called the British official commissioner of the Tirhat division. Tirhat division is the division in which Champaran falls. So he called the British official commissioner, and the commissioner proceeded to bully Gandhi, proceeded that he was say the commissioner, the British commissioner said to Gandhi, if you keep on, investigating this case, you are going to jail. I am going to arrest you and put you to jail. So you have to leave our place. You have to leave this division. Immediately leave Tirhat division. But Gandhi did not want to leave. He did not leave. Instead of leaving, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran, and then many lawyers accompanied him. Several lawyers accompanied him. Accompanied means they came with Gandhi. And at the railway station, so many people came to greet him. So many people came to Mahatma Gandhi because they, like I said before, they wanted to see who this brave man is who came to, who came to talk with these officials, because they do not dare to do that themselves. And the next morning, he rode on the back of an elephant, and before that, Gandhi learned that there was a peasant who was being abused in the nearby village. So in order to rescue that abused peasants, Gandhi rode on the back of an elephant, and in the next morning, he proceeded towards that village. And on the way to that village, he was stopped by a messenger from the British government, and this messenger asked him to come to his house. And when Gandhi went to this messenger's house, the messenger told Gandhi, the messenger gave Gandhi a letter in which the British official wrote to Gandhi to leave this place immediately. He said, leave this place immediately, otherwise I am going to arrest you. I am going to put you to jail. But Gandhi, at the bottom of the paper, after reading the order, Gandhi signed his name. He said, okay, I received your letter. And he signed his name, and he said, no, I'm not going to obey your order. I am not going to leave this place. I'm not going to leave my people. And Gandhi, because of that, Gandhi received a summons to appear on the court, to appear in court the next day. So the next day, Gandhi was asked to appear in the court because he did not obey the the order of the British official. So Gandhi knew that he was going to be arrested the next day. So the whole night he made some preparations. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come immediately to Champaran, and also he sent some instructions to his ashram, to his home. And so he also telegraphed a full report. He wrote the full report and wrote it to and sent it to the Viceroy of India. And so what happened the next morning was that Gandhi was taken to the court. But what happened was, all the peasants who heard that Gandhi was being arrested came in front of the courthouse. The courtyard was filled with peasants, black with peasants, and they were very angry. Now, just because before Gandhi came to their village, they were very scared of the British. When the British were at fault, they do not dare to stand up for themselves. Also, they do not dare to unite and stand against the British. But what happened was, when they knew that their own Indian men came to came to their rescue, they were now having their fear had gone, like bit by bit it had gone away, and so they now have the strength to stand up against the British people. They now have the strength to come together and stand in front of the courthouse, and they were shouting. They were very angry. They were shouting, and they were asking Mahatma Gandhi to be released from the court, to be released from the prison. And the officials, the British officials, if you count them in numbers, the British officials were present there were far lesser than the crowd of peasants. So the British officials, they were also beginning to get very scared, and so they asked Mahatma Gandhi, please talk to these peasants, talk to them so that they will not, they will not attack them and all. So Gandhi stood in front of the peasants, in front of the huge crowd, and he asked them to keep quiet and to calm down. And he said, if anything happens to me, you should not Gandhi was against bloodshed, and so Gandhi was saying, you should not attack these Britishers, you should be calm, you should be collected. So he was saying all this to the peasants, and the peasants listened to him and they keep quiet. And what happened was, because of this, even the British officials were beginning to get scared, and inside the courtroom, the prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. And Gandhi said, no, do not postpone the trial, please continue with the court. And Gandhi was asking them, pressurizing them to court him, to have a court session for him. And because Gandhi said that, yes, I am guilty because I did not obey the order that was given to me, but I wanted to do a humanitarian and national service by helping my people. And so after the court session was held, they do not know what to do with Mahatma Gandhi. They were, on the other hand, they were very afraid of what the peasants might do to them. If the peasants stand together and attack them, they were far lesser in number. And so that is why they were very scared of Gandhi by now. And Gandhi, the magistrate even announced that he would pronounce the sentence. He would, after they were hearing what Gandhi had to say, he said that the magistrate said that after 2 hours, I will say if Gandhi is guilty or not guilty, if he's to be put to prison, if he is not to be put to prison. So after and then when they were having this recess, the 2-hour break, the magistrate secretly talked to Gandhi and he said, please ask for bail. After we continue with the court, please ask for bail. But Gandhi refused. He said, no, I'm not going to ask for any bail. So when the court continued, what happened was, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days, and they do not know what to do. If they accuse Gandhi of being guilty and put him to prison, then they know that the peasants are going to be angry. But on the other hand, they know that Gandhi is the one who disobeyed their order, and so they wanted to put him to jail also. But they were having this, their minds were very conflicted. And so what happened was that Gandhi was released in bail, and Rajendra Prasad, along with so many other renowned lawyers, came to Champaran to help Gandhi. Gandhi held a meeting with them, and what happened was, Gandhi asked them, if I am arrested, if the court found me guilty, and if they put me to prison, what will you do? He was asking the lawyers. And Rajendra Prasad and the other lawyers were saying, we came here to help you. So if you are being put to jail, then we don't have anything to do here anymore. We will just go back home. But Gandhi told them, if I am being arrested and if you go home, then what will happen to these peasants? What will happen to them? They will not even get justice and they will not be helped by anyone. So Rajendra Prasad and the other lawyers, they were having a meeting together again, and they said, okay, they were feeling very shameful. And they said that Mahatma Gandhi is the one who does not even know these people from the start, and he is willing to sacrifice himself for them. Now we are the ones who knew these people very well, and we are trying to go home away from them, and they were feeling very shameful, and so they decided to stay back. And Gandhi made a plan with them, and he divided the lawyers into groups, and in each group 2 lawyers were there. And Gandhi said that if I am arrested, then this first group will come forward and stand for the peasants, and again, if this first group were arrested, then again the next group will come forward and stand for the peasants. This is the arrangement that they made together. So after many days have passed, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate informing him that the lieutenant governor of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. So the lieutenant governor of the province, after several days, had said this case should not continue. We will not charge Gandhi of anything, so this case should be stopped. And civil disobedience had triumphed the first time in modern India. Gandhi said that civil disobedience movement had been very successful for the first time in India. And Gandhi did not immediately leave the Champaran district after that. He stayed there and then he conducted more inquiry, and he was inquiring about how many, the injustice, how many, what shall we say, how the amount of money that the landlord had to give back to the peasants, and all those who had to say against the landlords, or all the cases that had to be recorded. He asked the peasants to come forward and tell him about their grievances, and so the peasants, one by one, they came forward, and the landlord were very against this. They were protesting. And so in June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant governor. Now Gandhi was summoned by, again, the lieutenant governor, Sir Edward Gate. And Gandhi, before he went there, again, he made a plan just like before with Rajendra Prasad in case he was arrested. But when he went to meet the lieutenant governor, he went for another, 4 interviews, and finally they came up with the lieutenant governor promised Gandhi that he is going to set up an official commission of inquiry into the indigo sharecroppers situation. The commission consisted of landlords, government officials, and Gandhi as the sole representative of the peasants. So they set up, they had created an official commission who is going to inquire about all these problems that arose between the peasants and the landlords. And so the inquiry, after many months of inquiring about this matter, they finally came up with came up with a solution, and they said that the landlords had to pay back the peasants whatever they have taken from them. So the landlords were asking Mahatma Gandhi, how much shall we pay the peasants back? And at first the landlord thought that Gandhi is going to ask them to pay back 100% of what they have taken from the peasants. But Gandhi said, you will give back 50%. After that, the landlord, again, they asked Gandhi, please, can we just, give them back 25%? And so finally, they agreed to pay back. Gandhi agreed with the 25%, and the landlord were also very happy that Gandhi accepted 25%, and so they gave back whatever they owed from the peasants, 25% of whatever they owed from the peasants. And Gandhi said that it was not a very important thing that the amount was refunded to them. The most important thing was that the peasants, they knew that both the peasants and the landlords, they knew that this is India, the home of the Indians, and the British, they are the outsiders. They cannot come and order around like they own this land. So this is what is the most important thing. It is not the most important thing that they receive money. So after that, what happened was that within a few years, the British planters, they one by one, they left their estates, and finally indigo sharecropping was altogether disappeared. Gandhi, although he already won the case with the British, he was never contented himself with only the politics side of things. Now, when he was staying in Champaran, he noticed the living condition of the people in Champaran. He wanted to improve their living conditions. He noticed that they were not educated. There were no schools in Champaran area. So he saw that they are very, very backward, culturally, socially, in everything. They were very backward. And so what he wanted to do is he asked for 2 teachers. He asked 2 teachers, Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, who just joined Mahatma Gandhi, and he is as a disciple. So he asked these two people to stay in Champaran and to teach the children to learn to read and to write. And after that, many people from all over India, they came to volunteer for a teaching job in Champaran. And after that, even Mahatma Gandhi's son and Mahatma Gandhi's wife came to support him. And primary schools were opened in 6 villages. And Kasturbai Gandhi, the wife of Mahatma Gandhi, taught the ashram rules, the cleanliness, and the things that they used to teach in the ashram to the people of this Champaran. And she taught them about personal cleanliness and all these things, and community sanitation. And Gandhi noticed one thing was that health conditions was very miserable. They were in very poor health. So Gandhi again asked if there is any doctor who can volunteer for free clinic in Champaran. So a doctor volunteered for 6 months. There were only 3 medicines that were available, and these medicines were castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment. So anybody who have tongue problem or who had problem in their mouth, they will receive castor oil. And anybody who came with a fever, malaria fever or any kind of fever, they receive quinine along with castor oil. And anybody with skin eruptions, anybody who had skin problems, they received sulfur ointment and castor oil. So Gandhi also noticed that the women were wearing very, very dirty clothes, and he asked his wife Kasturbai to inquire about women's health. So when Kasturbai Gandhi collected the women, he asked the women together, and she asked them, "Why are you wearing these dirty saris? Go and wash them and wear a clean one." And the women told Kasturbai, "Madam, we have only one sari and we cannot wash them. We have only one sari and we cannot wash. We cannot just take it off and wash them." That is why they were wearing the same clothes day and night, and it became very dirty and very stinky as well. And what happened was, during Champaran, during the stay in Champaran, Gandhi also did not leave for many months, and he did not neglect the duties of his ashram. He often sent letters to his ashram and telling them about how to maintain cleanliness of their house and all. And Gandhi said that this Champaran, the things that happened in Champaran was a turning point for him. He said that I did not do anything that is very great. I just ordered the British that they cannot just come to our country and they cannot just act like whatever they want. So what happened was, in the early days in Champaran, there was a British person who was very, a very devout follower of Mahatma Gandhi. His name was Charles Freer Andrews. And this Charles Freer Andrews first asked Mahatma Gandhi. He came to Mahatma Gandhi and he told Mahatma Gandhi, "Shall I talk to the British officials for you? Because I'm British also, maybe they will listen to me. I will talk with them." But Rajendra Prasad and the other lawyers, they wanted Charles Freer Andrews to talk to the British officials for them. But Gandhi said no. Even though Charles Freer Andrews offered to help us, we will not let him help us, because the British will think that we are very weak. We cannot stand for we cannot stand against them for ourselves. So we will fight this on our own. Again, that is what Gandhi wanted to do. And so Charles Freer Andrews went his way to to have a holiday. And so Gandhi, without any help from any British people, he fought along with the peasants. He fought against the British, and that is how he first came up with the Quit India movement and also civil disobedience movement. The first civil disobedience movement in India was won against the British. And finally, at the end of the chapter, Rajendra Prasad said This is how he taught us self-reliance. Self-reliance means we have to rely on only on ourselves, not on others. So Rajendra Prasad said self-reliance and civil disobedience movement, Indian independence movement, all were connected with each other, and that is how Mahatma Gandhi taught us how to be self-reliant, how to have bravery in our heart, and how to stand up against the British for ourselves. With that, we have concluded our chapters, and again, I wanted to ask you, please read your textbook. Read your textbook. The textbook is the only means of, the only source that you will find everything that I have said in the textbook. So please read your textbook, and please stay safe, and I hope we will meet soon. Thank you.